The Galen Hour Season 2, Episode 2, The Blue Economy. Tonight joining us from the Ministry of Blue Economy and Civil Aviation are Ms. Beverly Wade, Policy and Planning Advisor, Ms. Chantala Espadas, Communities Blue Innovation Officer, Ms. Emily Gomez, Coordinator and Liaison Officer, and Ms. Safira Vasquez, the Blue Economy Development Officer.
Good night and welcome to the Galen Hour. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 2 of the Galen Hour. The Galen Hour is a production of Galen University. It's a forum we use to share and talk about academic excellence, sustainable development, and lifelong learning. It is a pleasure to be your host. I am Diana Gomez Perry-Feet, and I will be meeting and talking with members of the Blue Economy tonight. And as soon as we come back from our first break, we'll get a chance to meet the members of the staff of the Ministry of Blue Economy and Civil Aviation, who will share with us very important information and help us to better understand this whole concept of the blue economy and how it is actually related to our economy indeed. So it is a very innovative new concept for us. We've seen a lot of new things coming out of this particular ministry and the whole thought of blue. And we're hoping that with this show tonight, we help to clear up and help a lot of misunderstandings or difficulties we may have with understanding the whole concept of the blue economy. Welcome, good night, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
Galen University Film and Media School is offering a new master's class in script writing for video. Classes will be held on Saturdays from 9 o'clock a.m. to 12 o'clock noon from October 30th to December 11, 2021. For more information on how to register today, email admissions@galen.edu.bz or call us at 614-6415.
Welcome back to the Galen Hour. We have joining us tonight from the Ministry of the Blue Economy and Civil Aviation, Ms. Beverly Wade, who is a Policy and Planning Advisor for the ministry. We also have with us, and you will meet each of these ladies as the show progresses, we have with us Ms. Chantala Espadas, who is a Communities Blue Innovations Officer. We also have with us Ms. Emily Gomez, who is the Coordinator and Liaison Officer for the ministry. And joining us as well is Ms. Safira Vasquez. She's the Blue Economy Development Officer. Welcome, ladies. Welcome to the Galen Hour.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Ms. Beverly Wade, it is a pleasure to have you on with us tonight. We will be talking all things blue. And I know we joke about it, and it is a phrase that has catched on, but I really think tonight should help our viewing audience to better understand really what we mean. We had been talking green all before this, now we're beginning to talk blue. And we need to, and I think this show will really be vital and good in helping us to understand. So let us just start by talking about the Ministry of the Blue Economy and what is the role of the ministry. And then we can talk a little bit about how this whole idea of a Ministry of the Blue Economy came about and what it may or may not be linked to within our region or on a global level. Ms. Beth?
Thank you very much, Ms. Diana. And I just wanted to say that it's a pleasure for us to be here as a ministry and to talk more, as you said, about blue economy and to have people as excited about the blue economy as we are. Is a new and innovative ministry. And that's exactly what we are. We are a new ministry that the current government decided that there's a need for us to be in a position to now look at our blue space and our blue resources with a view to having those resources contribute to growth, to economic growth. And so blue economy is really a focused intervention, a focused attempt to have a framework in place and to have efforts in place that are geared towards blue economic growth and creating the kind of blue economic pathway that would allow for investment and participation of people into that growth. but at the same time ensuring that the necessary safeguards for environmental protection and also for social protection are in place. So it is a change of how we view the resources that we've been working with for some time now. And it's an opportunity for us to now consolidate a lot of the good efforts that we have been doing, because Belize is a leader in sustainable oceans management. But it's a matter of us now putting all those efforts together, our conservation efforts, our social efforts, and also our development efforts, putting them in a more comprehensive and holistic framework, which now speaks to meaningful contribution to GDP, meaningful contribution to the livelihoods of our Belizean people, and also that we are seen as world leaders in the conservation and the protection and good stewardship, really, of our blue assets. It's an economy-based ministry, and it's a ministry that its economy is based on what we refer to as our blue assets, and we're charged with the stewardship of those assets and to ensure that they're used responsibly and that they're also taken care of, and that we have the necessary management and conservation safeguards in place. So in a nutshell, that's what we're about. And I guess you could see why we're very excited, because it is an opportunity for us that we've never had before as Belize. It's an opportunity for Belize that has a wealth of nature resources and blue resources. And it's an opportunity for us to rightfully now seat blue resources in terms of our national economic development framework.
Yeah, thank you for that, Beverly. Actually, this is a ministry I think is well embraced. It has been long in the making, or at least it is timely for it to have been appointed and named. And so we are actually really very pleased to be hearing from you. We enjoy our seas and all that's blue for our country, and maybe not giving it sufficient consideration given or the sustainability of our resources. And so I am indeed elated that there is a ministry. It is very innovative, and we get to talk a lot more about what happens within this particular within your portfolio and this ministry this evening. So yes, I also wanted then, what all does it encompass? When we talk blue, we think sea and sky. What all does this the Ministry of the Blue Economy encompass?
So just before I get into the sectors and the model that we've been looking at from a ministry and along with our partners, which I'll ask Ms. Emily Gomez to expand a little bit on, I just wanted to touch a little bit on the blue economy concept and where did it come from and how we see ourselves as Belize being seated in a more global framework for blue economy, no? So
Yes.
Globally, sustainable development are guided by the Sustainable Development Goals. And at Rio Plus 20, which was one of the landmark global forums that was held in 2012, there was a movement by small island developing states to now introduce the whole concept of blue economy, because there were states which their economy was really ocean-based, and sustainable development, the talk around sustainable development was always more centered around the green economy and really the terrestrial economy. And so at that conference, that was the first time that the whole concept of blue economy really was brought in that way at an international stage. And subsequent to that, the Blue Charter was developed, and that is where 54 Commonwealth countries signed on to an agreement where they decided to collectively now address ocean-based issues and also to meet our obligations under sustainable oceans development. And so Belize is a part of the Commonwealth Blue Charter. And also, we are very much engaged in the fulfillment of the SDGs. In particular, for us in the blue economy, we concentrate a lot on SDG 14, which speaks to life underwater. But we touch on almost all the SDGs because, as I mentioned, it's also an economy space that
definitely.
we're looking at. And so we're very active with the Blue Charter. There are 10 action groups under the Blue Charter, and Belize is actually one of the few countries of those 54 that champions one of the action group under the Blue Charter. And so Belize, as I mentioned before, have always had a leadership role regionally, and I dare say even internationally, in meeting our SDG targets as it relates to the ocean space, but also in terms of the promotion of sustainable small-scale fisheries and also the conservation of our marine resources. And so it is from that international framework also that we seek some of the objectives that we have under our ministry for our national blue economic framework. So I just wanted to chime in on that, and I'll now ask my colleague, Ms. Emily Gomez, to talk a little bit more about our blue economic model and the approach we're taking in Belize and the sectors that we've identified as key sectors under the blue economy.
So before Emily comes on, though, yes, I thank you for that explanation, because indeed that was one of the things that I think it's important for us to understand how we fit into on a global perspective and an international perspective, and even regionally. And if there are other countries within our region that also do have ministries of the blue economy, I know there are a few other Caribbean countries. I don't know to what extent it is something that is being it's a ministry that countries have committed to creating within the governments. But we are happy that Belize does have one.
Yes, and we're actually trailblazing. The only other country in the CARICOM region that actually has a dedicated Ministry of the Blue Economy is Barbados. And there is more interest within the other CARICOM countries to now develop blue economy units. But Belize and Barbados are so far the only two that actually has ministries of the blue economy. And
yes,
we think it's a good thing. We are small island developing states. We are developing states with a wealth of blue space and resources. And we think that it's about time that we view those resources differently and to integrate them properly, as I mentioned before, into our national development strategies and plans.
Yeah, good. Thank you. So, all right, Emily. So let us hear from Emily on what the blue economy ministry encompasses. Hi, Emily.
Hi.
Welcome again. Yes. So you can go ahead.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. We're really pleased that the ministry agreed to join us tonight. We think it's an absolutely important topic, and we're hopeful that we can bring clarity, additional clarity for our viewing audience. So you can go ahead, Emily, and talk to us about what all is encompassed in your...
Yes, so what is the blue economy? It is, how Ms. Wade mentioned, a new concept. And generally, there is not one accepted definition for the term blue economy, but on a whole, it is normally defined as being one that promotes sustainable growth, and it's based on the oceanic resources. So at the Ministry of Blue Economy, we have developed our blue economy model. And this is the one that we want to practice and will help guide what is blue growth and the blue space of Belize. So I want to share with you what is our vision, mission, and our guiding principles in the ministry. Our vision reads, Belize's blue economy by the year 2030 is productive, resilient, and vibrant, contributing substantially to the socioeconomic well-being of the country and its people. And our mission is to increase gross domestic product (GDP) through a thriving blue economy development pathway that is harmonious, innovative, and socially just, supported by a robust, science-based management regime of our aquatic resources and space to improve the livelihood of all Belizeans. We want to accomplish all of this by having in place the right guiding principles, which we have identified as the following 7, which is good governance, blue justice, socially and economically beneficial, sustainable and environmentally responsible, ecosystem-based management, quality and innovation, and education and public awareness. So through our research and the development of this new innovative ministry, we have been highlighting what are the different blue economy sectors we want to see grow for Belize. Not to say that they don't already exist, but we want to make them more of a focus. And we have highlighted the following 8, which would be aquaculture, which includes mariculture, blue carbon, renewable energy, fisheries, marine protection and management, maritime transport, shipping and services, ocean and coastal tourism, and marine research and development. However, we know that blue economy is a very multifaceted and multi-sectoral sector, so we also have to make mention of sectors like the cross-cutting sectors like sustainable blue finance, investment and business development, climate change, waste management, and maritime security and surveillance. So in a nutshell, this is what we want to highlight and work on as part of the Ministry of Blue Economy.
Yeah, thank you for that. It is very heavy. It really does involve a lot that has implications for both livelihood, the economy, or people or society. So you all really do have your hands filled, but I think it's good work. All right, Emily, thank you for that. For your information on the vision, mission, and more strategic information. I wanted to know, moving from the macro level to the micro and local levels, how do we engage our people and our organizations to ensure that what the ministry is working at and what you want to see happen actually trickles down and happens as planned, as best as possible?
That is a great question. Thank you for that. Definitely at the ministry, we are very focused in hearing our people and working with the right people to bring about what is the blue economy growth. So through the ministry, we have established what is the blue economy cluster. And right now we have an interim cluster that started in January, right after the new ministry was formed. And so what this cluster is essentially a multi-sectoral advisory body that representatives from governmental, non-governmental, academia, associates, cooperatives, private sector are involved with, that they have been participating in what is the initial stages of the development of the ministry. And they have helped us come up with the vision, mission, and the guiding principles. So what we hope that the vision for this BEC, the cluster, would be in the more permanent role is that they would offer all sorts of development advice to the ministry, where we can infiltrate and mainstream all the different people from the ground to technical level to all these people with expertise. So we want to work with the people. It is a public-private dialogue that we want to keep open so that we can ensure that we are reaching all the levels across the country and across the borders, across internationally, and making best practices so that we can have a successful blue economy in Belize.
What is certain is that this is not a job that only the government can do. And so I'm glad to hear that we do have a committee. You don't call it a committee, but technically a coming together of different parties within our economy and players within the economy, because definitely this is going to be a task for everybody. as lawyers would say, all and sundry, and to ensure that we get the job done, because it does have impact for all of us and our livelihoods.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And also that's why we have different representatives of other ministries involved, so that we are making sure that the government as a whole can work together.
Yes, definitely. Good. So there are definitely exciting things in the future for us. I do believe Galen has been asked to be part of
Yes.
the, yes. It's not a committee. Tell me again what the body is
It's
called.
a cluster, the Blue
Cluster.
Economy Cluster.
The Blue Economy Cluster. Yes, yes. So, and we're happy to, from the perspective of academia, to be part of the cluster. Yes, yes. So some fun facts about the blue economy and the use of blue resources that I got from the Commonwealth information page. One of them states that 350 million jobs worldwide are linked to fisheries. I want to take that then and look at what that means for Belize. How many jobs in Belize are linked to fisheries?
So directly, there are 3,188 registered fishers that are directly impacting the fisheries sector. However, from that, there is 15,940 people that are indirectly impacting the fisheries sector. Within this 15,940, it would include people from the cooperatives, people from the fisheries department, the families, the fishing families. So it would incorporate all of those people that are indirectly contributing to the fisheries sector.
Oh, great.
As to our blue resources, it contributes to $1 billion Belizean dollars annually to the country economy through tourism, marine shore protection, which is coastal protection, and fisheries, the fisheries sector.
Oh, that is really good statistics to know and to have. It goes to show that this is not a ministry for us to take lightly at all.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
It has a huge impact on our economy and the livelihoods of our people. So thank you for that, for the local statistics. So there's one other fun fact before we take a break, because we're running up to a short break. There's also, based on this information I got from off the Commonwealth information page, as I said earlier, it says 80% of global trade by volume is carried by sea. So there's a lot happening on our seas. So what percent of trade is carried, what percent of Belize's trade is carried by the sea? Do you have that stat?
We don't have a figure of total trade, Deanna.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have a figure for the volume of trade. What we do have is more sectorial data, like for fisheries, trade, but not for maritime and trade on a whole.
And that's fine. So you do have some information you want to share with respect to fisheries trade? That's fine.
Yeah. So with regards to fisheries exportation, we do have that figure on annually, plus or minus, the captured fisheries, the wild caught fishery in Belize contribute about $25 million in terms of trade, and that is primarily lobster and conch, and some other smaller commodities. No, so it's quite significant. It's quite significant when you look at it.
It really is. Sorry, Beverly. It really is, and I'm asking these simply for us and our viewing audience to realize this is really a very important ministry, and our economy does depend to a great degree on the resources, but also from the funds that we do come into the economy from this particular sector. All right, so thank you for that information. So it is, we've learned quite a bit and we've talked about quite a bit. I want to take a quick break at this time, and then we'll come back with our second segment.
Thank you.
When Caribbean University is offering a Masters in Development Studies program starting this spring semester, January 2022. A general information session will be held on October 8, 2021 from 12 o'clock noon to 1 o'clock p.m. For more information on how to join us, contact us at 615-3129.
Welcome back to the Galen Hour. We had just finished talking and hearing some really good fun facts, and I wanted to pick up on one of the fun facts that we talked about because I believe these statistics really are important for us to understand the magnitude of the ministry that we're discussing tonight. And so I wanted to ask Ms. Beverly to talk a little bit more with us about the contribution of the blue economy. So one of the fun facts stated that the worldwide ocean economy is valued at US 1.5 trillion per year. This is globally. But for Belize, there are significant figures that were mentioned earlier in the earlier segment that we want to look at a little bit more. And so if Ms. Bev, if you'd please come in and talk to us about what is our blue economy value. I think at 1 billion was a figure thrown out earlier, and talk to us about what that means and how we came up with that figure.
Sure. So we've been working with our international partners, and we're still fine-tuning values actually, because as we speak, we're also looking at the value that our mangroves and seagrass ecosystems play in regards to carbon sequestration in our blue space. But what we've done with our partners, we looked at some of the more prominent sectors that we are aware of. And when we looked at the contribution of our blue space and our blue resources to tourism, fisheries, and coastline protection, there was an estimate that was derived from a study that was done actually in 2018, which says that they really contribute approximately $1 billion Belize dollars annually to our national economy. That is huge. That is significant. And I don't think that we don't value these things properly. And we have to continue to ensure that we even fine tune those values that we're looking at, because it could even be more. The fisheries sector by itself is a big contributor to livelihoods. 4% of our population benefits directly from the fisheries sector. The tourism sector, which is our number one income generator and foreign exchange earner. When you look at what is earned from the domestic economy and the local economy, and also through the international visitations, you're looking at a sector that is employing 1 out of every 4 persons in Belize are said to be employed by the tourism sector. And when you look at the tourism sector, the studies and the data shows you that out of every 10 persons that visit Belize, you have at least 4 or 5 of those persons engaging in some sort of water activity or coastal activity. And so it is a sector that's very much dependent really on having healthy resources and actually having robust blue economic activity happening in that space.
Definitely.
And people kind of take the shore protection services for granted in Belize, but our barrier reef system with its associated ecosystems, which are the mangroves and the keys, they provide a very important function in terms of erosion along our coastlines and also storm protection. And so when you put an estimate from that, that is where that value actually came from. And so it is important for us to continue to break this down and to show how integral the blue economy and its resources in that space is to the national economy.
Yes, most definitely. And I'm glad that we are starting this conversation, or at least adding to the conversation here tonight. We wanted to, you mentioned livelihoods, and in all of this, we need to certainly look at our people and how our people are impacted. Climate change is real. You had talked earlier about SDGs. We talked about us being a small nation state, and protecting and preserving our oceans and all of that. But we also want to link it, our oceans and on seas, since we have the Caribbean Sea in front of us, climate change and the well-being of our people. And if we can talk a little bit about how those three are really intricately linked.
Sure. I'll ask Ms. Safira Vasquez to expand now more on that, on oceans being viewed as one of the primary solutions to climate change, and actually are now being looked at an international level to highlight the important role of our oceans and the ecosystems in now adaptation to climate change and actually meeting our climate ambition goals. So, Safira.
Good. Hi, Safira. Welcome again.
Hi. Okay, so we're looking at the oceans, climate change, and the well-being of our people. At the forefront of climate change, the ocean, the coastlines, and the coastal communities are being disproportionately impacted by increasing carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gas emissions from human activities, right? The ocean plays a central role in regulating the Earth's climate, as Ms. Beverly has just said. Actually, in the fifth assessment report by the International Panel on Climate Change, it was acknowledged that the ocean has absorbed 93% of the extra energy from the enhanced greenhouse gas effect. The ocean and coast provides critical ecosystem services to us, such as carbon storage, oxygen generation, food, and even income generation. Our coastal ecosystem, like our mangroves and seagrasses here in Belize, they play a vital role in carbon storage and sequestration. They sequester carbon faster and even far more efficiently than the terrestrial forest, right? And I want to reemphasize that again, right? That our mangroves and seagrass, they sequester carbon faster and more efficiently than our terrestrial forests, right? So they're very important, right? Our mangroves and our seagrass play a huge role when it comes to our blue carbon and so forth, right? When these coastal ecosystems are degraded, or they're lost, or they're converted, massive amounts of carbon dioxide are released into the atmosphere or even into our oceans. And these ecosystem services, such as flood and storm protection that they provide, are also lost with it, right? So it also, it not only causes the release of these gases, these harmful gases to our atmosphere, but it also causes us to lose what is protecting us as a country, right? The impacts of ocean warming and acidification on our coastal and marine species and our ecosystems are already observable. For example, the current amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is already too high for our coral reefs to thrive, putting at risk food provision, flood protection, and other services that the corals they provide to us humans, right?
Yes.
Increased greenhouse gas exacerbates the impact of already existing stressors on coastal and marine environments from land-based activities, and these impacts weaken the ability of the ocean and coast to continue to perform critical ecosystem services. And so the degradation of coastal and marine ecosystem threatens the physical, economic, and food security of coastal communities, right? So they're all interrelated, right? And we're all dependent. It's a whole system. And the same way how we say the fish is dependent on the coral reefs, we humans are dependent on our blue space or our blue resources, right?
Definitely.
Weakened or lost ecosystem increase our human vulnerability in the face of climate change, and they undermine the ability of our country to implement climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction. The sustainable management, conservation, and restoration of coastal and marine ecosystems are vital to support the continued provision of carbon sequestration and other ecosystem services on which people depend on, right? and also help us to also achieve our national determined contributions goals and targets. It helps us to meet our international obligations that we have made, okay? So we can see that there is a direct and a strong link between the oceans, climate change, and even our people, right?
Oh, definitely. Thank you for that. That is very information. Lots of information, very educational. So thank you. Sometimes we tend to ignore the importance of our mangroves, and I saw that you made a particular note of that. We would cut down mangrove. We want to push a road through. We don't think that if it's in our backyard, we cut it down, we fill it up, and we don't pay attention to just what we're doing and how it may be impacting our resources on our earth. You mentioned lots of things just now, and I wanted to ask then and use that as a segue into asking the question, and which of the many things does the ministry find as most concerning, given the fact that we're facing climate change? We have to be thinking about mitigation and adaptation measures, but what is the government and the ministry in this particular instance most concerned about as we move forward?
Okay, what we're most concerned about is our ability to quickly access information and resources needed to help put in place all the policies and actions needed to make our coastal marine resources or our blue economy climate resilient, so as to achieve a productive, a resilient, and vibrant blue economy that can substantially contribute to the socio-economic well-being of our country and its people, right? By this, we include our vulnerable, marginalized communities, making them also climate resilient, right?
Yeah, no, that's fine. So actually accessing what the information and the data that is needed for you to do what you've set out to do and know that you need to do. That's important. And thank you very much for that information. That's really good information. I want then now to touch on the Blue Bond. The Blue Bond has been in our news. We know it was in the making. We know one government claims that they started it, or current government has completed it, but we know at the end of the day, the Belizean people will benefit from it. And so it is absolutely important. It's so innovative. That's brought the whole blue concept into the forefront. And so we want to talk about how does the Blue Bond, and it's replacing our Super Bond. So we'll stop talking Super Bond now, and we will just hear Blue Bond. How is it linked to our blue economy, and what role will this ministry play in this whole?
I think you hit the nail on the head, Ms. Diana. The Blue Bond is absolutely innovative. It's an innovative and creative initiative by this government to now look at how it could now address its debt issues, but at the same time to now look in a creative way of how do we finance, very importantly, the conservation, management, and sustainable use of our blue resources in Belize. I just want to put it in context. Belize's Blue Bond is the single largest Blue Bond initiative internationally. I think that one of the recently successful one in the past was with the Seychelles, and that was for $50 million, and we're now 10 times that. So I think that it is really a very exciting and progressive, actually, initiative that Belize has now taken on. What is more exciting about it for us in Belize is that it affords us the opportunity to now address the whole issue of blue finance, which is a challenging issue. Belize, like many small island developing states and developing nations on a whole, are very much committed to a lot of our global targets and sustainable development targets. In fact, we are obligated to be committed to those targets because those targets are really meant to allow us to have the kind of frameworks in place which would then deliver on some important goods and services to our people, which is food security, responsible use of our resources, and improve livelihoods at the end of the day for our people. And so the Blue Bond is actually an opportunity for us to now have the establishment of a dedicated permanent facility that would be able to help us finance all those areas that we want to look at in terms of sustainable management, sustainable use, and of course, conservation of our marine resources and our blue resources to meet all those, as I mentioned, social goods, and at the same time, to kind of harness and support the viability and productivity of those blue resources to contribute meaningfully to our economic growth. And so it is focused primarily on those areas, sustainable fisheries, to look at more holistic planning, marine spatial planning for our blue space, and also look at conservation, financing conservation. The easiest thing to do is to declare an area as a protected area. The challenge comes with being effective at management. Only when we can effectively manage these areas can they play their rightful role, which is really to sustain productive systems at the end of the day. I often talk to people about marine protected areas and to remind them that they're not necessarily declared for their aesthetic characteristics, but they're really declared as management tools to contribute meaningfully to the productive systems, which we are very much dependent on in terms of national economic growth and livelihood of our people in Belize. And so it is a overwhelming task. It's a tremendous task. And what the Blue Bond does, it affords that much needed opportunity for financing to be able to do it effectively and to also promote programs that would allow our communities and various groups within our population to be able to meaningfully now engage in blue economic growth and to allow them to be able to plug into and take advantage of opportunities along the various value chains within the blue economy.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, that's a mouthful. And what this really brings out is that when we hear bond, we think money and we're owing and we're borrowing, but this particular Blue Bond has very positive links to what it will do for our blue economy and for our sustainable development. And so I think it, like you said, it's progressive, it's innovative, it's absolutely fantastic. And it makes us be a leader in this particular.
Yes, I can tell you that we're actually looking at the Prime Minister has done an excellent job in showcasing it on his recent visits internationally. And it has now become a area that a lot of countries now want to learn from Belize in terms of their attempts now and their initiative to secure sustainable financing for either their blue space or even for their the management and sustainable use of their natural resources. So we think that it's, yes, of course, it's a good thing for Belize. It's a good thing for strategic partnerships. It's a good thing for our partners also on the ground that are already working with us. But it's also an excellent model that we can now share with other small island developing states and other Commonwealth countries.
Yeah, really good to know. Yes, it puts us in the forefront in a very positive light.
Sure does.
Yes, that lends itself very easily or conversation to the MOU that Galen University signed with the Ministry of the Blue Economy and Civil Aviation. And we signed it on the 6th, and we're really, really very happy to be a part of this very progressive ministry and as things move in the blue direction. But Galen has basically agreed and to collaborate with the ministry to develop for development of research and development of a curriculum on the blue economy at Galen University. I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that, Beverly, but
Yes, for sure. We can only have successful blue economic growth in Belize or a successful blue economy sector if we have the requisite skills in country that would facilitate that growth, that would facilitate investment, and that would allow us to now enable to fulfill those pillars that we have in terms of our blue economic model. And that is where we have to ensure that academia play their rightful place. We have good institutions in Belize. It's an opportunity for us to work along with our institutions like Galen and hopefully with the National University. But it's for us to now develop those curriculum and also provide to us the much needed information so that we are making decisions from an informed standpoint, but also that we have developed those capacities in country that is required for us to have a successful ocean-based economy. And so this MOU with Galen is definitely a step in the right direction, and it signals the kind of strategic partnerships that the Ministry of the Blue Economy needs in terms of being successful at this. It's as simple as that. You rightfully made a statement earlier in our show that it's clear that all this cannot be done by the Ministry of the Blue Economy, and that is so true. We need to bring on board and create the kind of ecosystem that is necessary for blue economic growth. And a part of that ecosystem is about bringing academia on board to allow us to build our national capacity and also to help us with the information gathering, the science. If you remember when Ms. Emily spoke about our mission statement, it spoke about a robust economic pathway that was science-based. We have to be able to be making decisions from an informed standpoint and also to have our people be a part of the blue economy. And they can only do so if we build their capacity to play the various roles that are required along that economic pathway. So it's exciting times for us with Galen.
it is.
And we very much look forward to good things coming out of this MOU and partnership.
Yes, we do. The Galen University certainly shares the excitement, and we look forward very positively to what's going to come out of our MOU. So this is certainly not the last time we'll be talking, and we have reason for a lot more collaborating.
Yeah.
All right, I want them to talk about, before the blue economy concept came about, we kept hearing about the green economy. And yes, climate change, we've talked about climate change and global warming. Though these are terms that are thrown around a lot, but now we have the blue, looking at our blue economy from that particular perspective. But are we able to make a differentiation between what the green economy and the blue economy is?
Yeah, we could talk about the green economy and now the evolution of the blue economy. And there are several other economies. And so we'll try and concentrate on the blue-green interface. And I'll ask Ms. Gomez to expand a little bit more on that. Thank you.
Okay. Hi.
Yes, hi. So definitely there has been an ongoing debate about the green economy, the blue economy, and the ongoing colorful economies that exist out there through different international forums. But what we can say is that there isn't specifically definitions, international definitions universally known But we do know that the green economy from the blue economy derived from the concept of the green economy. So what the green economy is normally focused on what is energy, transport, agriculture, and forestry, whereas the blue economy focuses more on what is the fisheries sector, marine and coastal resources. But what they both have in common is that they all strive for an economy that is resilient with sustainable economic pathways, that they want to rebalance what is the social, environmental, and economic drivers. And they all focus on what is improved human well-being, social equity, while significantly reducing what is environmental risks and ecological scarcity. So where they might have their differences, they all come together and align in what is the different strategies to address climate change and adaptation.
Yes, very important. So while we are labeling things different colors, green, blue, at the end, it's all looking at mitigation, adaptation, resiliency in the face of climate change, and hoping that we can continue on a more sustainable path, which is absolutely important for our country and people. Yeah, so we have shared quite a bit of valuable information tonight. I certainly understand better what our blue economy, the ministry is tasked with doing. We know that it is linked to a lot of other things that we engage in on a regular basis. We take things for granted. Actually, just before I came into the session, I did a little quick test to see my carbon footprint. And we throw that around a lot, but people don't really know what it means. And we don't realize that every day in the very basic things that we do, we're contributing to the carbon, to the emissions that go into our. So I am a carbon villain, and I'm not proud of it. I thought I would be somewhere between villain and hero, but I'm a villain. And maybe that is actually a little quiz that we could share more widely, maybe, and get people to do. Simple thing as if whether you ride a bike or drive a car.
Yeah, I know. I think it all plays a part, and maybe we can't make a huge impact where, as Greta Thunberg is trying to save the world, we can play our part at home, at work, at school, and the small little impact that we have or that we try to focus on will have a ripple effect, and maybe it'll inspire someone close to us to take the same measures, and that's how we can move along and actually put our part in reducing all these carbon footprints.
Yes, I agree. We all play a part, and we all need to understand better how we can do things better to improve our livelihood and the situation of our economy and our country, and lessen what we put out into our atmosphere. Yes, so I think that brings us to the wrap-up phase for our show tonight. It has been an absolute pleasure. I do want to give Ms. Beverly or you, Ms. Emily, whichever of you want to give some last words, Ms. Beverly, some last words and some about your ministry, the work you're doing, what you want to leave our people. Wait.
Okay, excellent.
Very nice.
I'll look at the camera.
Yep.
Computer. So I just wanted to say it's been a pleasure for us to share with you all things that are blue, and to share with you the excitement from the Ministry of the Blue Economy, but not only the excitement, but to give you and the listeners and the public on a whole some very important information as it relates to how important our blue space is, our blue resources, and to share with you the vision that we have from the ministry, and to help build the excitement and momentum to have everybody come on board with us. We, as I mentioned before, the blue economy is being looked at as a sector that is expected to contribute meaningfully to our national economy and its economic recovery post-COVID. but it's also a ministry for us to build on some of the great successes that we've had so far in our blue space through our partners, our NGO partners on the ground, our other sister agencies, the institutions that are under the Ministry of the Coastal Zone Management Authority, the Fisheries Department. But it's also an opportunity for us to continue to be a shining example of a people who value their blue space and their blue resources, and that we can make a difference in ensuring their long-term viability and conservation. So that's our parting shot for today. Thank you again for allowing us to add a little blue to your world.
Oh, definitely. Thank you so much. We are very grateful that you all found the time to join us today. We know we have to be changing schedules. Pandemic is not something we can ignore amidst all else that we have to be concerned with. But you've shared with us valuable information. I want to thank you, Ms. Beverly Wade, Ms. Chantel Espadas. I want to make sure I have your name, Ms. Emily Gomez, and Ms. Safira Vasquez, for spending the time with us tonight. It is absolutely, well, to me, it was fantastic information. I'm hoping that our viewing audience gained as much from today's episode. And when we talk blue, we can talk with knowledge, because we now know how it came about, what your ministry is doing, what it's linked to, what the Blue Bond is all about. Well, we didn't go into the details of the Blue Bond. That's for economic development and finance, but at least we understand how it's linked to the ministry, and we understand the dollar value of the ministry, and how it trickles down to our livelihoods and our well-being. And so on that note, I thank you for your time and for joining me here tonight on the second episode of the second season of the Galen Hour.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Right. Bye. I'll take a short break now, and I'll come back. I'll do my final wrap-up comments.
Galen University Film and Media School is offering a new master's class in script writing for video. Classes will be held on Saturdays from 9 o'clock a.m. to 12 o'clock noon from October 30th to December 11, 2021. For more information on how to register today, email admissions@galen.edu.bz or call us at 614-6415.
Welcome back to the Galen Hour, and we're wrapping up tonight's show. We want to thank the Ministry of the Blue Economy for appearing on our show tonight. It was really very useful information and good information. I hope we gained knowledge from it, and we appreciate more this very innovative, very progressive ministry. On that note, I thank you so very much for joining us for a second episode. I want to remind you that we air 8 o'clock on Thursday nights. For these first few shows, we'll be going live on Facebook, Galen's Facebook page and Love's Facebook page, and will be re-aired or replayed on Love's TV on Sundays. And in a few weeks, we'll come back to airing live at 8 o'clock on Thursdays. We thank you for joining us. It is always a pleasure. Good night, and see you next week, same time, same place, for another episode of the Galen Hour. Good night.
On the lovely hills of Galen, purest mountains rose and fell, watering the western gardens, where our students now excel, reaching higher, sister, brother, ever pacing one another. Visions